afternoon, I'm Tyler Danberg. Ohio State hosts Minnesota Saturday at 7:30. Hear the Ryan Day Show up next on The Fan. It's win or go home for the Cleveland Guardians as they host the Detroit Tigers in Game 3 of the AL Wildcard Series at 3:08. Detroit's Jack Flaherty starts against Cleveland's Slade Ciccone. Winner heads to Seattle. Cincinnati Reds fell to the Los Angeles Dodgers 8-4 Tuesday, ending their season. Dodgers advanced to the NLDS for the 13th straight year. San Diego Padres and Chicago Cubs battle in Game 3 of the NL Wildcard round at 5:08 from Wrigley Field. Winner travels to Milwaukee. Boston Red Sox battle the New York Yankees in Game 3 of the AL Wildcard round at 8:08 from Yankee Stadium. Winner visits Toronto. NFL, San Francisco's at the LA Rams at 8:15. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy out due to injury. Mac Jones will get the start. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
From Learfield, this is the Ryan Day Show, presented by Roosters, a fun casual joint, and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics. Now, along with head coach Ryan Day and former OSU All-American Jim Lachey, here's the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
Thanks for joining us this week for our Coach's Show with Ryan Day as Ohio State returns back home and will host Minnesota Saturday evening. That'll be a 7:30 kickoff at Ohio Stadium. Coach, thanks as always for your time. You know that all wins are important, but when you win them away from home, that has to have a little extra added value to it.
Yeah, traveling across the country, dealing with that, was actually a great experience for us. I thought it drew our team closer together. We got out there Thursday. Got to the hotel, got a snack, went to bed, woke up in the morning, had a really good morning, went out, did our walkthroughs and our meetings, and then, that night we're in the meal room, and there was, the game on TV, and everybody was in there. I thought that was great. Woke up and then played with great energy in the game. Got some experience as a group, going on the road in a good environment, getting a win, and certainly a lot of things to grow from, but it was a good plane trip back, and then on to Minnesota.
You tinkered with that, travel plans. Last year you played Oregon on the road, Eugene, and you went the day before. This year you decided, hey, we're going to move that back, kind of more of your playoff format, and you learned from that to go out the day, on a Thursday and get that. And it must be exciting, too, for that high school that you ended up go practice at on Friday afternoon. They must have been happy to see you.
Yeah, it was great. You have to have security in moments like that, but they were breaking school right as we were sort of getting there, so it was a little chaotic, but it was great to see the students, yelling for the players, and it was good. The high school coach was great, but yeah, we did a lot of work on it. Just talking about the different time zones and the amount of travel and those types of things, and felt like we had a good rhythm in the playoffs and tried to replicate that during that week.
We talked about it afterwards, and you've talked about it during the week, but hard to ignore how well your defense played, even a few days removed from it. What are some of the things that jump out at you that were the keys to how well your defense played?
Well, I thought it was a good plan going in. We had a challenge there with Williams and Coleman and Boston. Those were kind of the three guys that we had to make sure that we accounted for. And I thought the defensive line did a really good job of understanding how they wanted to attack them with the rush, but also in the back end, forcing some of the windows to close quickly, disguising looks. And so, because of that, it created the quarterback to double clutch. And then when he looked to find escape hatches, it turned into a bunch of sacks. So really, really well done there. I thought we played well again in the red zone. Got a goal line stop again. Hung in there. Gave up a few explosives. They moved the ball a little bit here and there, but got stingy down in the red area again. So good situational football.
Yeah, your D-line accounted for 24 tackles, 9 tackle for losses, and 6 sacks. I mean, that's, as a group, that's getting it done. That's taking care of business. And, again, you can look at that, but you still have to go out and do it week in and week out. But it's a good moment there to learn from, and everybody was able to excel, and you can take that and move forward.
Yeah, and it builds confidence. That's it. And I think you saw the guys playing for each other out there, and that's important.
When you think about how this defense has evolved, especially with the addition of Matt Patricia now as coordinator, going into the season, is that what is kind of been the end result of all of the different looks and the different wrinkles that you can have, especially with the different personnel that are involved in some of them?
Yeah, I think Matt does a really good job of changing up the looks, and that was one of the things we talked about during the process of hiring Matt was we need to change up a few of the looks and make sure we put guys in situations to be successful and give guys roles. You see us use multiple personnel groupings based on situation. And I think the guys are believing in it. They're bought in. They're playing with really, really good confidence, but it doesn't just happen on game day, like you were saying, Jim. Like, you still have to go put it on the field. You have to put the preparation in. You have to put the film work in. You got to go put it on the practice field, the walkthroughs, the meetings. Every little ounce counts, and so it allows you to play fast. And when you do and you see success, it just builds confidence. That, hey, man, like, we're going to go in with a game plan that's going to work. We have to go put it on the field, but ultimately it's the guys on the field that have to make it happen. Guys like Caden Curry and Sonny and Arvell and Jermaine and IGB. I mean, they're putting in the hard work and they're seeing it pay off. So we got a long way to go, but again, you're seeing the confidence and you see these guys playing for each other and that's important to see. At this point of the season, the team coming together and being stronger as a group, because I think it's now more than ever, it's easy to worry about yourself, whether it's your playing time, your NIL, your situation, like all these different things come into play, and the best team is going to win. So we all have to sacrifice, and it's important to see guys gelling together as a unit.
It seems like they found something with that bare front. We get 5 down linemen, and you get your 2 linebackers kind of roaming around. And then, I saw Peyton Pearson there too, to get 3 linebackers in there to get a little bit heavier when they kind of react with a formation like that. And, all those moving parts, you guys seem to handle that. But you're building on something there. Now, you can't major in it, because if you do, then somebody's going to find a way to take it away from you. But the way they were able to mix it in and out with 4-man front, 5-man front, 3-man front, kind of kept that offense, Washington, a little bit off guard.
Yeah, and it's all good as long as you can execute it. And I think that's the point here. And, we can't be, a jack of all trades, master of none. And I think that's that balance you always want to find. And I think the one thing that our defensive staff does a great job of is changing up the look for the defense, but keeping it simple and keeping it simple in terms of what we're doing. So what that means is same as. So it might be a different front, but same coverage. It might be the same coverage, but a different front. And so it doesn't put a lot of stress when it's a different picture for the offense. But for us, it's kind of same as. So it's not just a brand new defense that you're learning that the run fits on and those types of things. So the more you can carry over these different coverages, run fits, and fronts compared with the other things, that's where you can keep guys off balance. And you're just trying to make the other side play a little hesitant and for us to play faster. And that's the goal.
Kind of going back to what you said before, but on the back end with the secondary, how well they cover, is that something that allows the front end to play the way that they do, and vice versa?
Yeah, and they all have to understand how that works, that they work hand in hand. And I think for our defensive linemen, this is probably the first time where they truly understood the fact that this isn't just about how fast can you get up the field and get to the quarterback. There was a plan to it. They had to cage the pocket. They had to be disciplined. And they corralled Williams. I said it was kind of like chasing a rabbit down. Like he can find himself in little areas, and so if you don't all work together, and you rush 4 guys as one, then he can get away. Well, that led to a huge amount of TFLs and sacks because they understood how that works. So although it may not be just coming off the edge on a speed rush or countering with a spin, it was just as effective, if not more. Now that may not be the same thing every week in and week out, but in that game plan, that was what was important. And I thought Larry Johnson did a good job of explaining that, we have to rush 4 guys as one, not 4 guys just rushing on their own and creating lanes for a quarterback like that to get out and run.
I think when you do that as a defensive line, you see a little bit more bull rush, or so to speak, because you don't want to, take a rip or a swim and get out of a gap. You got to pretty much stay in your gap, stay in your shoulder, stay, to have responsibility to keep him kind of caged in, and you did that. I mean, the results are there. Williams ended up with minus 28 yards rushing, and obviously the sack numbers in college football work against that. But just to see that he was averaging 75 yards a game rushing, so or average near that, to go to minus 28, that's a huge part of what they're trying to do that they couldn't accomplish.
Yeah, and every offense is going to say they want to avoid negative plays, but when you can get the other side to get negative plays, you get them off schedule. That's the idea. And to your point, pushing the pocket is important against a quarterback like that because he's very quick, but he doesn't have a ton of stature. He's under 6 feet, and so by pushing the pocket, you make him feel uncomfortable. You get your hands up into the passing lanes, and then at some point, he decides he wants to escape. That's when you have to be ready with spies and everybody in place. But to your point, pushing the pocket and sort of having that 2-gap mentality of I'm going to bull rush this guy, move him back into the backfield, but then I have my eyes on him so that I can work to either gap. And if everybody's rushing together, then you can see what could happen. So that was the game plan there. and well executed. But that's it. And I think it's exciting for the guys to see us talk about what it's going to be. The defensive coaches talk about what the plan is, and it actually happening on the field. And that just grows to a better week of practice the next week because guys are believing more and more what we're doing.
If you have a question for Coach Day, you can submit it to our Union Home Mortgage inbox at OhioStateBuckeyes.com and click on Ryan Day Show inbox. Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Learn about their 1% down payment program at UHM.com, an equal housing lender, and MLS number 2229. Saturday, Ohio State hosts Minnesota. We'll be on the air with the AEP Energy Buckeye pregame show beginning at 6 p.m. More of today's show presented by Roosters coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Buckeye fans, choose chill. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. It's got that crisp, refreshing taste that makes those moments when you choose to rise above the noise and choose chill even better. Coors Light is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light, choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, beer.
Hey, Ohio State fans, are you looking to score big with your home equity? Union Home Mortgage will help you unlock the value of your home and fund the promises you've made to yourself and your family. If you need to pay off debt, have home improvements, or whatever your family needs are, visit UHM.com and score financial freedom with Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Union Home Mortgage Corp. is an equal housing opportunity lender and MLS number 2229.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Buckeye fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to Ohio State sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off select gear at the Ohio State team shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix, guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with low prices in every aisle. And you'd never compromise your appetite with our golden brown bread that's baked fresh in store. And you never compromise your wallet with our low prices. Kroger shoppers never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Hey, Buckeye fans. As the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, Roosters is kicking off an incredible giveaway you won't want to miss. This football season, we're giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences. 3 drawings, 12 winners with prizes including tickets, sideline passes, and 3 trips to a Buckeye first-round postseason game. Go to roosterswings.com to register and see all the details. 3 drawings, 12 amazing prizes. Register today and every day. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back to our weekly show with Ohio State coach Ryan Day as the Buckeyes get ready to host Minnesota. Time for our 2 Deep report presented by Elk and Elk. Serious fans of Ohio State athletics, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Go Bucks. And a lot of the guys we've talked about that played the way they did, coach, on the defensive line were guys that, you know, they were in backup roles last year, but certainly got a fair share of reps. And so is what we've seen now kind of their continued growth from what they learned from the previous roles they were in?
Yes, I think so. We take a lot of pride in how we practice. Our Tuesdays and Wednesdays are physical. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of reps to go around. And everybody has their own journey. We talk about this a lot. And it's good to see guys who have been in the program for multiple years now seeing their hard work pay off on the field with some production. And that's the next step for these guys in year 3 and 4 to really step up and take leadership roles and carry some production, because that's a big part of leadership. You got to go put it on the field. And so a lot of guys are, starting to really step into that. But everybody's journey is different. I think, a lot of guys want to come in and play as a freshman and think that after the recruiting process, it's just going to go real easy, where they're going to have to make a decision to go to the NFL in their third year. And some guys, do that, and that's their journey. But that's not for everybody. Usually when guys come in here, they're being challenged in a lot of different ways, and they're going to feel uncomfortable for a long period of time, and that's where the support of the coaches, the support of their teammates are important to work through those things. Everybody has their own journey, and some of the guys that are in year 4 and 5 are going to have a great story to tell about how they went through difficult times, ups and downs along the way, how they had certain expectations, whether it was injuries, setbacks along the way in other areas. But, when you come out the back end of that, you become more resilient, as we know, and it's just life in general. But good to see some of those guys on the field and being a huge part of our team.
Coach, I know when you're watching film, you point out all the positives and show it to the team, but you do have some negatives, when you have penalties or when you have a turnover. How do you use those as teaching moments for the whole team?
Well, I think it's good to recognize the things that are going well so that we can continue to get their eyes on the positive plays. I think that's important. But to your point, you got to fix the problems. The issues are always going to be there, and negative plays in the red zone, including sack. But the penalties are the ones that bother you the most. And the truth is, the way you practice is how you're going to play in a game. And if we're going to let that stuff go on at practice, then it's going to show up in the game, and that's not acceptable. And so it's everybody's job, coaches included, mine included, to make sure that that's not happening in practice. We bring in referees, as you've seen in practice, to make sure somebody gets called for a penalty, they run a lap. And it sounds like a menial thing, but everybody, the whole team says if somebody goes on a false start, they stop practice, and everybody knows it's a false start, and we got to run. And we hold each other accountable with that. So it's about discipline, and we know, we're the ones that are in control of that. And so when we see something like that, we call it out and make sure it gets addressed.
We've talked a lot today about the defense, but with the way they played Saturday, does that lend toward complementary football with how the offense will operate?
It depends on the game plan. I think the game on Saturday could have gone a bunch of different ways, but after we didn't convert on the 4th down and we had the penalty there on the 30-yard line going in, it turned into a different style of game. I thought we did a really good job in the middle 8 and played well in the second half, but only ended up with 6 possessions. But the number one goal, first road game against a team that had won 22 straight there, was to win the game. We felt like the defense was playing strong, and I thought we controlled the ball on offense for the majority of the game. Only punted once, I think, in the last 2 games. But when you're going against teams that are going to keep it in front and force you to work the ball all the way down the field, you got to finish drives in the red area, and so that's a huge emphasis, as we know it always is, but it's even more now. But I think we had 16 plays of over 10 yards. That's really a lot of positive things coming out of it. But when you play 60 some odd plays, maybe the numbers aren't going to look as gaudy as maybe they've been in the past. But the number one thing is winning the game.
Coach, you mentioned the 6 possessions. You had the ball for 11 minutes there in the first half, and he had it for over 20 minutes there in the second half. And, that's the difference. You had that 14-play drive, took 7:41 off the clock there in the third quarter. And you knew what game you were in by then. You knew that, hey, if we run this out, we're going to take care of business. And you want ball control, basically. And, you see a lot of teams do that. Minnesota is a team that likes to do ball control. They're averaging about 33 minutes a game, time of possession. So this is what they like to do. But you've kind of bought into that. I know that, in the past it seems like we were trying to get 80 plays and tempo. But now you got to do what's best for your team, and the best for the team was to make sure you're huddling up and taking care of the football and converting on 3rd down.
Well, football is cyclical, and things change, and a little change can make a big difference on the field. I think there's a couple of things that have happened over the past several years that have changed the game. I think the first thing is when they changed the clock rules. It shortened the game. So when we used to get a first down, the clock would stop. Now the clock runs, save inside the last 2 minutes of each half. And the second thing is the coach-to-player communication. So when you used to saw this no-huddle tempo on the ball, running plays, and you think back really, when I played for Chip, and during that time what he did at Oregon, that was sort of the beginning of that as the game was changing. And then now here we go, we're 10 to 20 years later, and it's kind of going in the other direction again. So I think when you watch a lot of college football, it's looking more like the NFL. And I think when you watch the NFL, it's looking a lot more like college. There's a melding a little bit of the two different leagues, because I feel like the rules are starting to get a little bit more the same. So all those things come into play. But to your point, we got to do what it takes to win the game and what we think is appropriate in that moment. But the most important thing is that we can do something. So when you can't do something and you're not in control, not good. But when you're in control, then and you're making the decisions that you can either go in 10 personnel, 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 14 personnel, based on what gives you the best schematic advantage, or you can go really fast or really, really slow based on what you think the team needs at that moment. That's what we want. I feel like we do have the ability to do multiple things right now, but you have to make a decision on what's going to help you win the game that you're currently playing, and then as you take a step back, what's going to help us for the entire season as you look at it as a whole.
From our Union Home Mortgage inbox list of questions, Tom in Columbus asking, since there's not typically a lot of substitution on the offensive line, how are you able to track and evaluate the development of young players in practice who may not necessarily get those game reps?
Yeah, not always easy, but we practice hard, and we go good on good a lot. And we do some ones on twos versus ones. So you're seeing our backup players play against the ones on the other side and vice versa. So I think we get a pretty good feel for it, but you don't always know. I think Luke Montgomery is a great example of somebody who jumped into a situation in the playoffs and really took it and ran. And he was practicing well, but you didn't quite see it until it went into the game. But other guys, you feel like you have a good feel for it coming in and out of practice, and you watch the film and you make the corrections and you try to give them good feedback on where they need to improve. And if this is what you're going to put on film, every day is an opportunity to earn trust in your teammates and your coaches. And if you're going to put good film out there, then everyone's going to trust to put you in the game. And it's the players and the coaches. But if you're not doing your job, or you're not, for whatever reason, maybe it's just inexperience, maybe it's a lack of focus, there's a lot of different reasons why you do or don't do your job, then you're not going to get the playing time that you want. Now, if you don't like the playing time right now, then get it changed and do your job and grade out. And that's why we say grade out a champion. Over 80% in a game, then you're doing your job. And if everybody does their job, by the way, I think we had 18 of our 22 guys grade out last week. We're going to win a game. That's how it goes. And I know it sounds simple, but it's not easy, to grade out a champion, over 80%. And the coaches do a good job of making sure that each position group has their grading system that fits. And what I mean by that is, like an offensive lineman, there's nowhere to hide. Every single play, you have to be on your game. Or if I'm a receiver, I'm on the backside of a run play. Like, that doesn't count as much as a go ball where I have to go make a play, or same thing with the DB. So we take that grading system very serious, and we try to give them feedback, whether it's in practice or in the game.
I'm looking like that offensive line's playing well from what I see. There are some breakdowns that's going to happen as part of it. Starting to develop some continuity, you know what I mean? They've had 5 guys now that have played together the majority of the time, and had some, with Ethan coming in at left guard every once in a while. But the majority of the time, he's had those same 5 guys. And like I said, they're handling it well. They're going out there and getting it done. They're being physical. They're not having, creating penalties or negative plays, things like that, which is good. But a little bit different challenge. You had to handle a silent count on the road. And just take us through that silent count and how that works when you're playing on the road.
Well, the first thing is, the center and the guard have to communicate really well. And so once the quarterback gets done with his motions and his shifts and his pre-snap alignments, he'll then give an indicator to the line that he's ready. And then they have a series of things they go through to make sure that they're on the same page. And then through how we handle that, we then try to anticipate when the ball is going to be snapped. And then we have to rock off the ball. When you don't have a rolling start, it's not as easy as when you have a cadence, when you're at home, for instance, we have our cadence, there's like an expectation that the ball's about to be snapped, and you can kind of get like a rocking start as an offensive lineman and create momentum. When you go on the road and you don't have that, it's very easy to start catching blocks. And we made a huge emphasis this week that we're not going to do that. We are going to be on the attack. When you watch the film, our guys played hard. I think we had guys 6, 7, 8 knockdowns each in a game, which is unheard of. That's the type of play that we're looking for up front. But it takes a veteran group to be able to handle that on the road. I thought Luke and Carson both handled it very, very well. If you think think about it, you're a guard, you're turned your back to the defense to look for the quarterback, and then once you turn, you have to identify what it is. The center's got to be communicating to him what's going on, and then the center obviously has to do his indicators either with his head or his hand, and then snap the ball. There's a lot that goes with that. they embraced it right from the bye week. We were able to have 2 weeks to prepare, and I thought they handled it very well.
Be sure to check out the Buckeye Game Day Concert Series presented by the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer before every home game this season outside of St. John Arena in Buckeye Fan Fest. Each week features a different artist on stage. 2 hours before kickoff, get on board and book your cruise today. Visit BuckeyeCruise.com. Go Bucks and beat cancer. And we'll have more of today's show presented by Roosters when we continue on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
The Donato's Pep Duo Pizza is back, and it brought a pal. The Donato's Pep Duo, loaded with crispy pepperoni and 3 kinds of cheese. Now get a large Pep Duo pizza for just $14.99. Also back, Donato's deliciously dippable pepperoni cheese bread. Now on the $5 Pizza Pals menu for a limited time. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donato's, gotta love more.
When you're here, you understand what it means to be a Buckeye. And at Elk & Elk, we're proud to wear scarlet and gray every Saturday. Every client, every day, means if you're ever injured, we're proud to stand with you in court. And when you're here at the shoe, we're proud to stand with you and cheer on the Buckeyes.
Whether we're here at the big game or in court, we are committed to you.
Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeye football lives here. The Fan. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeye fans, power up and carbon down with AEP Energy and Eco Advantage, their 100% renewable energy plan for your home or business. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Welcome back to our show this week as the Buckeyes get ready for homecoming Saturday night, hosting Minnesota, 7:30 kickoff at Ohio Stadium. Time for our Inside Access with Kroger. A reminder that Kroger Pickup is the easy way to get what you want right when you need it. Try Kroger Pickup today in the Kroger app or at Kroger.com. And this will tie into one of our Union Home Mortgage inbox questions. This comes from Tony in Cleveland. And this kind of ties into last Saturday's game. How much do you rely on your get-back coach to prevent a penalty like we saw Washington get Saturday? And who, if you care to identify them, is your get-back coach?
Yeah, well, Coach Mick is certainly in charge on the sidelines of that. And he has a whole staff that are involved. It's not just one guy. Quinn Temple tries to keep me away from getting in the way of the referees. But, when you look at the sideline, there's an area there that's painted in white that the referees need, because those sideline judges and the back judges on the side, they're actually standing off the field, so they need to be able to go back and forth to see what's going on as the play develops. And so, if somebody's in their way, they can trip and fall. And so that we have to make sure that's clear. It's not always easy, but that's why they kept back coaches there, to make sure that no one gets in the way of the referees.
Have you ever seen anything like that before in a game? I mean, it's rare that you see. Usually a sideline, it's a warning. Boom, they hit him with a 15-yarder right away, and then a couple plays later in that series, Coach Fish comes out on the field and gets another 15-yarder unsportsmanlike, and I'm like, wow, we've done a lot of these games together. I don't think I've ever saw that, in the first quarter of a game that a coach had. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
I'd have to think, when we've done a lot of crazy games, that go on, and there's just you think you've seen it all, and then you go to these games, you're just never sure. But there's a lot of things that come up in the game. I got one a couple years ago. I think it was last year at the beginning of the year. I got a 15-yarder for going out there, and sometimes you let your emotions get the best of you, and so it's a good reminder to make sure that we just take a deep breath, and we need some folks sometimes that create some layers for us, I guess.
Speaking of taking a deep breath, your quarterback starting his first road game, Julian Sand, after the fact, how'd you feel he handled things out there?
I thought he did a good job. I mean, the number one goal is to win. He took care of the football. Threw some really nice balls, was accurate again, did a nice job scrambling. Especially the one I bring up a lot is that third down. It was a veteran move. They were playing a certain coverage. In that coverage, guys were covered. It was 3rd and 17. He scampered down the sideline for another 10 yards, got us into field goal range. And we were able to make the kick, which at that point I think put us up 14 points. And that's really good football. And those are things that he's going to continue to learn on. And every time he's out there, he's learning more and more. And the other thing that I've said before that is encouraging about Julian is what he says that he's seeing is actually accurate. And so he's seeing it. He sees what goes on. He's very intelligent. He's getting stronger and stronger every day. So that's encouraging. I think he's building confidence in himself, and I think his teammates are getting more and more confident with him behind the center.
Coach, after every series, do you take the quarterback and the offensive line, running backs, tight ends through the whole iPad, through the whole series? Do they watch every play of that series, or they just, you got 4 or 5 that you pick out and you kind of go, or you try to hit every one of them?
Yep. So it's so easy now how fast it can go, and the minute the series is over, Austin or Quinn have the iPad right there, and you're able to go through, and what you saw in some plays, but you get to the ones that you need to see. Longer drives, like 10 and 12 play drives, you may not see all of them. At least I don't. But Julian goes right to the headset, gets on with Billy, and then I'm able to hear that conversation, and then I'm going over to defense back and forth. We're able to get an idea of what happened on the last series. While you walk over to the sideline, you'll see each group going through that with their players. So the coach is over there going through the plays, showing them what happened. And then as a TV timeout happens and more time passes, then you start to see the players grab the iPad and they're kind of watching it kind of on their own while the coaches are now getting together talking about the next series. So it's a great learning tool for our guys, and I think it's an opportunity for us to really create an advantage against our opponents if we can communicate well and make those adjustments drive by drive by drive.
We think back to the touchdown pass that Jeremiah Smith caught as he came across the field. In looking back at that, certainly it seemed not only the great play he made and the throw that came from Julian Sand, but the blocking right in front of where he made that turn going up the left side. Is that kind of setting the standard, continuing the standard that's been set for downfield blocking, especially for receivers?
Yeah, and if we want to be explosive, which we know we all want to be, a big part of being explosive is blocking downfield. So how do you become explosive? You either throw it all the way down the field, you run the ball, make a guy miss, and then create blocks downfield to turn 7 plays into 15 to 20 to 30. Or in the run game, you're throwing perimeter screens where you see that with our guys. They're working hard on the perimeter to create touches for their teammates, but to create explosive plays. So if you're a receiver in this offense and you can't block, I mean, you better be elite, because you don't bring much to the table in the run game, and you don't help playing without the ball in your hands, and that doesn't help the value. That does not help the team. So when you see our guys, they have to be complete players, and it shows not only that they're willing to be great teammates, but it increases their value, because at the next level, when you watch guys in the NFL, I mean, they got to stick their nose in there, and it's just the days of going to run routes. It doesn't work that way. So all things that we learn in special teams, and Aaron Scott's a great example of that. I know it's not on offense; he's on defense, but Aaron Scott, was the first guy to hit the 30-yard line the last 13 kickoffs. And then, no surprise, he makes two huge hits inside the 20-yard line last week. Well, that's because it started on special teams. And when you look at the guys who are playing special teams for us, they find a way on the field. If you can't find a way on special teams here, it's very, very difficult to get on the field. And so a lot of the work that's being done on a play like that was something that we learn on special teams. Like we talk about the string. The string is ball, me, man. Where the ball is, where I am, and where my man is. And understanding how that all works together on a play is critical, because you need to understand where the leverage is on a play. And so I think it was a good example of that, and that's winning football. And then also not getting a holding call, making sure your hand placement is right. Like all those things come into play.
When you see Jeremiah Smith get double coverage like he does, a lot, each and every opponent that we play tries to do that. Do you look at different ways of moving Jeremiah in different positions so he doesn't get doubled, or do you look at the other receivers that would be open because of the double?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, both. Like I say, if someone says they're going to take away one player, they could send 7 guys to him and just say, hey, we're going to get him. I mean, that could happen. But we try to do everything we can to get him the ball, because most teams are going to say, hey, we're not going to let him beat us. But that's why you have other players. That's why you have different ways to attack. And Jeremiah understands that more than anybody. And he knows that if we don't have versatility in what we're calling and the different personnel grouping and have weapons around him, then that's going to put more pressure on him. And he's been working really, really hard. He's a great practice player. And so, we're looking to continue to figure out ways to do that. And, the other side of the ball does a great job of making sure that, they're aware of where he is. And so it's a back and forth. But again, when you see him block, when you see him running routes on the backside of routes, even when he's double covered, he knows how important he is. And when he's in a game, he makes all 10 other guys on the field better. And that's a sign of a great player.
Buckeye fans, this season Roosters is giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences, including tickets, sideline passes, and trips to a postseason game. 3 drawings, 12 prizes. Register today and every day at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint. And we'll be back with more of our show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
If you are a fighter, Modelo is your reward. So listen close. You put up with a lot, but you always hold it down for your people. You are strong. You are fearless. You are the baddest on the block. You are an elbow grease factory, a force of nature. You are not to be reckoned with. You are a ride or die, a powerhouse of productivity. You are a fighter, and Modelo is your reward. You've earned every last drop of this rich golden lager, so raise it up high. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Go behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable landmarks in all of college athletics with a tour of Ohio Stadium, presented by Experience Columbus. A seasoned redcoat will be your guide as you make your way through walls of the stadium, into the press box, and onto the field. Upgrade to the VIP package and get special access to the band center and the Ohio State home locker room. From corporate outings and school groups to single-person tours and small families, Ohio Stadium tours offer a variety of options and pricing. For more information, visit ohiostatebuckeyes.com and book your tour. Ohio Stadium Tours, presented by Experience Columbus.
When it comes to your cancer diagnosis, the choice for your care is clear.
And when you choose the James at Ohio State,
you're opting for care from a highly specialized team dedicated to treating one type of cancer, yours.
A team that studies the unique makeup of your disease to develop a personalized treatment plan.
You're choosing our region's only comprehensive cancer center designated by the National Cancer Institute.
For your cancer care, the choice is clear. The James at Ohio State.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix, guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with low prices in every aisle. And you never compromise your appetite with our golden brown bread that's baked fresh in store. And you never compromise your wallet with our low prices. Kroger shoppers never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
The 2026 Buckeye Cruise for Cancer sets sail on the Silver Sea Silver Ray. It's an intimate ship with an even better experience. It's all inclusive of beverages, shore excursions, taxes, and gratuities. Sail to bucket list ports like the Grand Turk, St. Martin, and St. Thomas. With Buckeye greats including Ryan Day, Bobby Carpenter, A.J. Hawk, the Boren Brothers, Ezekiel Elliott, Ryan Shazier, and more. Sailing from Fort Lauderdale, February 17th through the 24th. Call 614-792-6204 to book today.
James Peoples here, running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. You have to check out the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to Buckeye sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off select gear at the Ohio State Team Shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
The Fan. Ohio sports destination. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Welcome back to our show this week. It's homecoming weekend with Ohio State hosting Minnesota. Join Buckeye coach Ryan Day and experts from across Buckeye Nation to preview every matchup and break down each week's game. A reminder, the Game Time with Ryan Day is presented by Huntington Bank and airs Saturday mornings at 9 on 10 TV in Columbus and statewide on OhioStateBuckeyes.com. We'll go back to our Union Home Mortgage Inbox questions. Dakota in Spencerville asks, what are some things you would recommend for someone interested in becoming a grad assistant, even if they didn't play collegiately?
Yeah, I think about it a lot because, for young people who want to get into coaching, you don't really go to school to become a football coach, although it's such a huge profession. You can go to school to become a teacher, which is really what being a coach is. You're a teacher, but you also wear a lot of other different hats. You think about the different things that a college coach does, and there's a lot that comes with it. There's recruiting. There's the football acumen. There's behavioral management. There's psychology. There's just a lot of things that come in with it. And so the first thing is it becomes an apprenticeship. You want to grab on to people that you learn how it works, and you find yourself in an organization where you see how guys operate. You learn about how they go about their day-to-day business. You start to learn that way, and you start off by getting the coffee and drawing the cards and making the copies, just like so many of us have, and you start to build it up that way. And to me, that makes the best coach in the end. I think there are coaches that have sort of bypassed some of those things, and then in the end, it takes them a little bit longer. I think you want to start even at a high school level where you learn how to get somebody in a 3-point stance, and you go line the fields, and you clean the locker room, and then you kind of progress from there, and then you find yourself in as a graduate assistant or a young coach in college, and then you kind of build from there. You just learn how it goes. You soak up as much information as possible, but in the end, it's just like anything else about relationships and learning from somebody that you respect.
Refresh us on your first coaching job and how that all came about.
Yeah, after I got done playing, I stayed at the University of New Hampshire. I actually coached the tight ends. And then in the off season, I was a substitute teacher, my wife and I. So we lived in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I would drive about 45 minutes to work. And then in the off season, to make money, because you don't make any money back then, I would substitute teach. And so Nina and I would both do that. And then I got my graduate GA job at Boston College for 2 years. And then in year 3, I was at Boston College. Long story short, I made a connection with Dan Mullen, who's from my hometown, and we were supposed to play against Utah in the Fiesta Bowl. Well, we lost to Syracuse. They won, and then Urban Meyer got the job at Florida. And Dan Mullen called me and said, "You want to be the GA?" We had never met him before. We literally got in a U-Haul the night of the Super Bowl, my wife and I, and drove all the way down and got to Gainesville, Florida, and made $198 every 2 weeks. So my wife had a job as a public relations director at a hospice in North Central Florida, and she paid the bills, and that's how we got through that year. And then I moved on to my first full-time job at Temple. So those are the first few years of the job, and not the easiest, but certainly learned a lot.
Well, and as a head coach, that has to give you a great appreciation for what the guys under you now have had to go through.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's a big part of coaching, is that you get to a certain point where you want to bring people along. And so when you see people come through the program, and you have a responsibility to do things the right way and teach young people how you go about business, how you treat people, how you make decisions every day and do things the right way with integrity, and build a culture and hard work and all the different things that come with coaching, because it's winning games. You have to win games, otherwise you're going to find other coaches. But that's not the reason you get into coaching. You get into it to have an impact on people, and it's good to see the coaches in this building trying to bring young people along. And it's been great to see some of the coaches, even in the past 7 years, have gone on to different places and seen their careers, really take off.
With players, do you sense any players at times with questions they ask or whatever, and it gets into your mind they might be good coaching candidates?
No, there's no question. Yeah, we have a bunch of them. There's a ton of the guys on the team, and it's hard to pick out one or two, but one player in particular that Nolan Baudo, who does a lot of our signaling and actually spoke to the team before practice yesterday, had a great motivational speech. He's kind of the glue, and man, he's going to make a great coach if that's what he decides to do. Some of these guys are smart and decide they don't want to get into coaching. They want to actually do something a little bit more normal. But because there's a lot that goes into coaching. Your family has to be involved. You have to be willing to move. I mean, there's a lot but there's coaching at different levels too. There's obviously high school and college and the NFL. But yeah, you can see certain guys that have made great coaches, and a lot of them they understand the game. More importantly, they know how to connect with people.
Sounds good. Coach, thanks as always. All the best Saturday night.
Guys, thanks.
Union Home Mortgage is the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Learn about their 1% down payment program at UHM.com, an equal housing lender, and MLS number 2229. Coming up next, we'll hear from kicker Jaden Fielding when we continue with our weekly show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Experience Buckeye Game Day like never before. Welcome to the 1922 Club, the most exclusive space inside Ohio Stadium, where luxury meets tradition in the heart of Buckeye Nation. Enjoy upscale food and beverages and a game day atmosphere like no other. Create lasting memories with friends and mingling with other Buckeye fans, and celebrate every OHIO in ultimate comfort. Become a member of the 1922 Club today. Memberships are limited. Visit OhioStateBuckeyes.com.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Go behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable landmarks in all of college athletics with a tour of Ohio Stadium presented by Experience Columbus. A seasoned redcoat will be your guide as you make your way through walls of the stadium, into the press box, and onto the field. Upgrade to the VIP package and get special access to the band center and the Ohio State home locker room. From corporate outings and school groups to single-person tours and small families, Ohio Stadium tours offer a variety of options and pricing. For more information, visit OhioStateBuckeyes.com and book your tour. Ohio Stadium Tours, presented by Experience Columbus.
Hey, Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, Roosters is kicking off an incredible giveaway you won't want to miss. This football season, we're giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences. 3 drawings, 12 winners with prizes including tickets, sideline passes, and 3 trips to a Buckeye first-round postseason game. Go to roosterswings.com to register and see all the details. 3 drawings, 12 amazing prizes. Register today and every day. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
Your home for Ohio State Athletics, The Fan. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeyes are known for paying it forward. That's why Buckeyes Care strives to serve the betterment of our community by positively impacting families across Ohio. Join partners American Electric Power, Donato's, Kroger, the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the James Cancer Hospital, Huntington Bank, and WBNS TV in Columbus in supporting this cause at ohiostatebuckeyes.com/Buckeyes Care. And welcome back to our show this week as we get a chance to talk with kicker Jaden Fielding. Thanks for your time. We meant it as a compliment off the air, asking you about the tackle that you made. That was a great job getting that returner on the ground last weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Practice that sometimes, but when you have to do it, it's a little different. So just glad to get him down.
That's 3 tackles now in 3 years. So you got your quota and you're good, right? Because you've been kicking for 3 years now and did it. But, I think in Texas you're close to maybe getting involved in a tackle there, no?
Yeah, I had a tackle, but there was an invalid fair catch signal. So
yeah, exactly. That's right. I thought you had one, but I'm like, I didn't see it in the stats. And I'm like, now I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you got a close relationship with your snapper, John Furman, and, your holder, Joe McGuire.
Mm-hmm.
You guys spend a lot of time at practice kind of going through that, and a lot of time off the field, so to speak, together too. But how has that relationship worked for the last couple of years?
Oh, me, John, and Joe have been inseparable. We're all three. We call us the Three Amigos. We hang out all the time. Those are my guys. Always have a good relationship with them, which is really nice because trust them off the field. You can trust them on the field. You can trust them anywhere. Those are my guys for the rest of life,
Jaden, before a game starts, when you guys are out there warming up, what are some of the things that you go through? What are some of the things you think about and that you look for, especially when you go to a stadium like last week that you hadn't been at before?
You always pay attention to the wind as a kicker, changes where you have to aim on certain field goals. I try and pick out spots in the crowd or people that are sitting out there that are kind of good aim points based on what the wind is doing pregame. So I'll be trying to find a spot in the crowd, a sign, somebody wearing a different color shirt, something that's obvious to me of where to aim on certain kicks. Kind of go through my progressions of right hash, left hash, middle, left middle, right middle, different distances, see how the ball reacts. Also just trying to get warm and get ready for the game.
When you're kicking at Ohio State, and especially kicking toward the north end zone where the flagpole is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, that's a great spot.
Right in the middle of the goalpost is a flagpole. So is that your aiming point there?
Most of the time, yeah. It would be there, or depends on what the wind's doing that day. I do like to pick out the national championship signs on the top right usually because the wind will swirl around that end because of the curve. So you kind of got to pay attention to that too. But I'll either the pole or the national championship signs.
Are you a golfer, and do you approach it looking for a hook or a slice?
I try to get into golf. My hand-eye coordination's not that great. That's why I'm not the punter. But I try. So I talk to Coach Keys a lot. Coach Keys is a very good golfer. I've been golfing with him sometimes, and it helps me to help him understand what I'm thinking about when I'm kicking to compare it to golf. My dad's a good golfer. Talk to my dad about it the same way because my dad didn't kick. So it's a great way to kind of correlate things that I'm thinking about and relate them to golf.
Jane, did you get into kicking? Did you have a soccer background, or is that how it all kind of worked and you were good at kicking the soccer ball and hey, I'll try this football thing?
Yeah, I played soccer for I think 16 years, and I picked up football a little bit in there a little bit. My sister, who played soccer too, she actually became the kicker in 8th grade. So I was 3 years behind her in school, so I saw her doing that, and I was like, she can do it. Why can't I do it? Must run in the family or something, right? So picked it up from there.
It's our understanding that when you were at IMG Academy, Coach Day came down looking at other players and noticed you warming up. That has to be a great thing for you to get noticed when you weren't part of the initial plan.
Yeah, shout out to Carnell.
Is that who it was, Carnell too?
It was Carnell. So he was down there. We were playing LaSalle in Cincinnati. Just played Bishop Sycamore actually in Canton. So we were on a road trip through Ohio, and he was down there, and I got lucky. I was having a pretty good game, kicking off really well, and they needed somebody to come kick off for him. So he saw me and asked me what my name was, and kind of took off from there.
So when you go back to League City, Texas, where do you fly into?
Houston, Hobby.
Houston. So how far is that from
It's from my house to the airport, like 20 minutes.
Oh, so you're
20
right
or
there.
30. Yeah,
you can say Houston then almost.
Yeah,
the suburbs.
Most time I tell people Houston because they don't really know where that is. So.
Do your parents come into the games?
They go to every game.
So I thought I read something where your mom still gets nervous. Does she still get nervous, or is that early in your career?
No, she still gets nervous, but she won't tell me that she gets nervous. She tries to give me the biggest peace of mind that I can have, but I know she gets nervous. She tells me after the season, I don't know how you did that, but
I don't get nervous, especially against that Notre Dame game, and you put it right through the uprights at the end. That had to feel good. I know you're excited after that one.
Yeah, I was fired up. That was a big moment for me, big moment for the team. Being able to come through for them in that moment was everything that I had dreamed about coming to this school. So it was nice.
Do you monitor the weather like the coaches do for practice?
I do, yeah. Got to pick. Man, it's going to be cold out there today. I don't know how far the ball's going to fly. But, yeah, you kind of pay attention to it. It's almost habit.
Gotcha.
Specialists always pay attention to the weather.
Jaden, thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. All the best come Saturday night.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
That's Ohio State kicker Jaden Fielding. Join us Saturday as Ohio State hosts Minnesota. We'll be on the air with the AEP Energy Buckeye pregame show beginning at 6 p.m. The Ryan Day Show presented by Roosters has been brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by the American Dairy Association Mideast. For Skip Mossick, Colin Behringer, Cole Bartemus, and for Jim Lachey, Coach Ryan Day, as well as Jaden Fielding, this is Paul Keels. Thanks for listening. This is the Ohio State Sports Network presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physician for Ohio State athletics.